Right, it's a couple of days later and I've made a slight change, so just let me explain what I've done. When I checked the footage, I noticed that some of the fibre optics, particularly at the top of the Christmas tree, wasn't coming out that bright. So originally I had 4 LEDs. I've added 2 more LEDs on it to make 6. Just made a loop, just the same as I did there. So exactly what I've done, follow the arrows on the LEDs to make sure that the signal is going the right way. And on the back, I've also made a little change. Let me see if I can zoom in and show you. So what was happening was it was not staying together. The 4 LEDs were kept moving apart. So if you notice, I've put a join in here. Now on this side we've got the plus going that way and the plus going that way, so the plus is the same on these 2 banks of LED. So I've just put a join across there. It's not going to short it out or anything, you're still going to get power to this LED, but I just put that across there just to hold them 2 together. And I've done the same here. On this side you've got the ground going that way and then the ground going that way. So again, I've just put a link cable across there. Again, you're not going to short it out, power's still going to go round to this. So that's just to hold it in place. So what I will do is quickly show you. Plug that into the power. So as you can see, they are flashing away quite nicely, and there's no loss of power on those LEDs. So that's just going to help spread the light a bit. So if we look at the base of the Christmas tree again, just let me move the camera. Right, so if we look at the base of the Christmas tree, how thick it is, that now sits, or those LEDs will now sit and cover the whole lot. And what we'll do, we'll put some tape or something over this as well. I think we might have to just glue this in place or something. We'll have to have a look at how we're actually going to mount this. But with those 6 being on there, with 4, look, it wasn't quite covering the LEDs, but with 6 it is doing, sorry, not covering the LEDs, it's not covering the fibre optics. But with 6 it is covering the fibre optics. So that's going to be a lot better. Let's just quickly test that. One moment please. Right, I've just taped the LEDs to the bottom there. Let me turn the lights out. I've grabbed a power bank so it's easier to plug them in. So there we go, there we are. So that's the LEDs now on there. Right, just let me take the camera off its stand, there we go. So as you can see now, the LEDs are now lit right to the top of the tree and all the way around, like so. Okay, so now let's do the Arduino stuff. Here we have a new Arduino in its box. Let's open it up. So this is it. It's an Arduino Nano, as it says there, version 3. It's got the it's got the legs or the pins pre-installed, which is good. USB goes in there, and we have a USB cable here. So I'll plug into there. So we can use this for our LEDs to cut for the Christmas tree. What we also need is some cables. So just bear with me for a second. Here are some cables, and so is there. So this is the cable that's going to connect to the control, to the lights. So there's the male side of it. We're going to connect these to these cables here, and then we'll use these pins here to connect onto the pins on the board like that. So let's have a closer look at that. I think I'll solder these up first. Right, that's got them done, so let's connect these up. So this is the +5, so that will go on the 5-volt pin, which is just there. And the signal cable, we're going to use pin number 7, D7 for the signal cable, so let's plug that one in. There we go. And finally the ground, have we got a ground on here somewhere? Yep, it's just there. So second one in is the ground. There we go. So it tells you on the top here where all the different pins are. So we've got +5, we've got the ground, and we've got the signal going in there. What I'll do now is plug that into there, and then we can plug that into the computer. Okay, so we're in the Arduino interface now. First thing we need to do is to make sure that we've got the library that we need, and we're using the fast LED library. So go to Tools, go to Manage Libraries. Just takes a second or two for it to appear. There we go. And once it's finished building the list, you type in fast LED, press enter to do your search, and then fast LED appears. Now I've actually got it installed, but you'll have a little install button, as you can see there, which is greyed out. Press that and it'll install it for you. Right, so let's start the code. Well, first of all, we need to tell the code what we're going to be doing. So as I said before, we need to include the fast LED library, and that gives us access to various programs within it and magic that helps it work. There we go. That's the easiest way of describing it. So we've got that in. Next thing we need to do is to define some of the variables. So let us define our data pin. So we're using data pin 7, that's on the Arduino. I'll show you which one that is later on. We also need to define what LED type we're going to be using. And our LED type is WS2812. That's those little LEDs that we're using. We also need to tell the program the order that our LED is in. Now don't forget that some of these LEDs, various ones, have different orders for the green, red and the blue, or the RGB, red, green, blue. So order ours on WS2812s are green, red, blue, and that's the order that they're in. We need to also define the number of LEDs. Now on our little example, we've gone for 6. Originally it was 4, wasn't it? But then we improved it to 6. We need to define the brightness. Now this goes from 0 or off up to 255. We're going to set it about 200. Okay, so the next bit is we need to tell it that we're going to be using numbers, and this is to represent the colours. So CRGB, and we're going to use a variable called LEDs. So we'll pass it the number of LEDs that we're going to be using. There we go. Okay, we're also going to be using another variable. Now it's quite a strange one, this, and it took me a while to understand what this is. This is called a unit 8 underscore T, and the hue, not hug, the hue is referring to the actual colours of the LEDs. And what that's going to do is the variable G hue is going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, blah, 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 up to 255. Then it will reset back again. And I'll show you that on the output. And that's how it's going to change the colours of the LEDs. Right, so that's that bit done. We'll now need to go into the setup area. Now, when you're running Arduino, it runs this code once, so we have to set up everything in here. And what we're going to do in here is we need to set up the fast LED library so it knows what we're going to be doing. So we need to use the command add LEDs, and we need to tell it all our variables now. Okay, so we need to give it the LED type, then we need to tell it the data pin, then we need to tell it the colour order. Okay, then we need to tell it that our variables called LEDs is going to be used, and again we need to give it the number of LEDs. Oops. Like so. And this is going to set what's called the correction. This helps the fast LED with the colours and the way it controls it. And we're just going to use the typical LED strip. There we go. Bit of a long command that, but once you've got that in, it's all set. Okay, we also need to tell the fast LED the brightness. Oops. And we've used the variable before on that. Okay, now we're going to use a command that only the Arduino is going to look at, and it's to do with using the serial monitor up in the top corner here. And what we're going to do with that is we're going to tell it to start using that. And we need to tell it the speed. I just set the speed to 9600. Right, okay, so that's the setup of the program that we need. Now we're going to do the actual main loop, and it's relatively simple. It is really strange how because we're using a built-in function, a few lines of code can actually make a massive difference. So don't forget, this is a loop. So what we're going to do first of all, we're going to tell the fast LED to show whatever commands we're doing. Now, as this is a loop, you could put this at the beginning, you could put this at the end, it doesn't really matter. I've done it at the start. Okay, next thing we need to do is we're going to say at every number of milliseconds and we're going to use 20 milliseconds. You can change this. I find that this one is the more pleasant one to use, and you'll understand this in a minute when you actually see everything changes. But you can change this 20 to various numbers to see how it sort of looks for your palette, if you like. And we're going to tell the hue variable just to add one, and this is where it goes 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9 10, etc. Okay, next thing we need to do is we're going to use a command that's built into fast LED, and we're going to tell it to fill the rainbow or fill the LEDs, and we're going to tell it the number of LEDs. We're going to give it the current hue or the current colour, and we're going to do a variable of 50 on the end again. This is to do, right, so the 20 that we used here is how many milliseconds it'll count before it adds one. The 50 is to do with the colour balance. Now this is RGB, red, green, blue, And this, you can play about with that number. You can make it 100 if you like, you can make it 20 if you like. It's how the colour stretches across the LEDs. So please feel free to change that for your own palette. Okay, final thing we need to do. Well, we don't need to do this, but I'll just it helps explain a bit of the code. So we're going to output the hue value to our serial monitor. So the first command, the print, will just print that information on the window, and the print ln will print a bit of information, then do a new line, and we're going to output the hue variable. Right, okay, that's that done. Let's see if it works. So we better compile it first. You can compile it by pressing the little tick in the top left hand corner here. And I've already spotted I've done a spelling mistake just there, so let's just compile it and see what else it finds. Okay, so that's wrong. Let's just fix that. It's UINT, that's better. Also, we use the American spell of the word colour, not the English. That's another one that I've spotted there. Okay, my type is not very good. Serial. Oops, IAL, there we go. Let's try that again. Well, I've done any more spelling mistakes. Yep. Okay, so it's telling me that num was not defined. It is in fact num without the B. Let's try that again. You see, we're not always perfect. Right, looks a little better this time. No, I can't spell the word serial right. Right, try that again. It's getting there, getting there. Hopefully it's going to work now. Yeah, it's looking a lot better. There we go. Okay, so it's now compiled it fine. I've got the Arduino plugged in at the moment, and it's plugged into COM7. There we go. And I'm using the old bootloader on the Arduino Nano. Sometimes, if it doesn't load, you can't load up correctly, use what's called the old bootloader, because that seems to work better. Right, let us upload that. So it's now going to upload it to the Arduino itself. We just got it plugged in via the USB cable. Okay, and I'm going to press the serial monitor up in the top corner here. Make that a little bit smaller so you can see. So as you can see, these numbers which are flying up at the moment, that's that hue number, which is being outputted just here. And as you can see, it just changes, automatically changes. When it hits that 255, it will automatically change back to 1. See if I can freeze it when it gets to that point. There we go. So as it hits the 255, it will automatically change and reset, and that's how it changes the colour as we go along. So I think the best thing to do now is to connect up the Arduino up to the lights, and we'll see if it works. Okay, so here we have the Arduino, which we've wired up. Here we have the LEDs and the USB cable. So we'll plug that into there. I've got my little power bank just there, so we'll plug this USB cable into here to provide power. Let's get it the right way around, that might help. Okay, we'll plug that in. And we have lights. There we go. not picking up particularly well on the camera, but I can assure you they are various colours that's going on there, and it's a very soft, very slow fade between them. And you can see the pattern going through, so that one, then that one, and then the middle one there, look, then that one there. It's a very slow pattern going round. So now we know that works, that's okay. What we need to do now, I think we're done okay with the Arduino, no need to change the code. So let's move that out of the way. Okay, so I think the next thing I'll do is take this to pieces. We'll need a USB cable to provide the power. I'll disconnect the socket here because I don't have we need a 90-degree plug to plug on the bottom there to come out there and go off the side, which I don't have, so I'll just feed the cable up there. I'll keep the switch in place though, that'd be handy. I'll take all these gubbins off and then we'll somehow mount the kit in here ready for the mounting to the bottom of there. So back in a moment. Right, so what have I done? Okay, so we put the USB cable through the hole and we've tied a little knot. That's just a bit of a strain relief so it doesn't get pulled out. We've put the plus to the switch and we've connected this cable, which has got a little black tracer on it, so we know that's the plus, and the ground to the other side. So that's all now done and finished with. The two power cables go to the board, and then the two power cables and the signal go off to the LEDs. So let us just try that. LEDs go on as such. The end of the USB cable that can be plugged into the bench power supply because it's a bit longer. Okay, it's not on. Click the switch, it boots up, and there it goes. Switch it off. Like so. Okay, that's good. That's got that done. The only thing I did notice when I was doing this is that this cable is a bit loose and it just has a habit of popping off. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to clip the end off and I'm going to solder that directly to the board. What's the other two like? Yeah, the other two are the same. The power is the same. It just keeps popping off. So what I think I'll do with that is I think I'll solder them on board. Solder them on now. Now we've finished playing about with it, so they don't fall off. Right, back in a moment. So there we have it, one finished Christmas tree with now using the LEDs instead of using that 12 volt AC motor. I've got the shed light on at the moment, so it's not particularly bright, but as you can see it is glowing different colours on the LEDs, and I think that looks quite nice. So there you go, one upgraded Christmas tree. I hope you liked it. If you like what I do, please give us a thumbs up, please subscribe, and yeah, join me again for another video.